Hey guys, I'm Sarah Sheikh and I am the owner of This Modern Love Photography. I've been shooting weddings for the past 15 plus years and we specialize in South Asian weddings. Today I'm going to talk about Pakistani weddings and break down each event so you feel like you know everything when it comes down to these events and what to expect. First, we're going to get into the Mayo ceremony. This is more of like a almost like a bridal shower for the bride. Sometimes they do it for the groom, but usually it's like a small at home ceremony where they bring the dole and they play it together. They sing some songs, they have dinner. It's just like a nice meet and greet, kind of starting the whole events unofficially. The actual first event is called the Mehndi ceremony. That is where the Mehndi artist or the henna artist will come and put henna on all of the guests. But it's basically like an event where they are meeting and greeting and just kind of hanging out. It's a dance party too, so it's lots of dance performances. There's also rituals. So the structure of this event goes as follows. They will do entrances. The groom will come in on side with his friends or family. The bride will come in with her people. So usually this process is pretty cool. They come in with trays. The bride side sometimes spends like months decorating these really nice ornate trays with like candles with the henna on there, as well as like any gifts or small ornate things. So this is just basically presented to the couple. They set them around the stage and this kind of starts the process of the entrances. So once the families have gone and done that, then usually the bride has an entrance. Sometimes she is walking under, like they'll take a veil and they'll have it on sticks, and then she's kind of walking under it. So that's like a really nice shot of her like coming down with everyone, and usually it's like her brothers or some of the men in her family holding the sticks, and they're just kind of basically proceeding to have her come to the stage. So once she comes to the stage, she sits with the groom, and then they just kind of join together and they do different rituals where the bride and groom sit on stage. Each family member will come up on stage and basically feed them sweets. So one thing that they do is they take some money that they would give to charity, they would circle it around their heads while saying some prayer. There they also go into like picking some of the paste, and they apply that paste to the bride's either hands, or if they have like a leaf or something like that, it would be pasted onto the leaf. Okay, once the rituals are all done, they will go into the dance part. This is like the fun, basically what they've been preparing for. So most of the times they will do these dance performances where they've practiced choreographed dance following like Bollywood movies, or just coming up with their own routines. And this is them just like coming out showing everyone like, here's what we did. And it's a really fun event. Sometimes it's like a 10-minute program, other times it's like an hour. It can really range, so it just depends how many dances there are. Usually the groom will come up with his guys, his groomsmen, and do one. The bride will come with her family or her friends. And then from there, they'll go into open dancing. If they are on the more like liberal and like free spirited side, they don't really care. They'll kind of dance with everyone on an open dance floor. And that ends the night. So this is usually just like a 4 to 5 hour ceremony with all of that entailed. This event is filled with so much rich colors and textures, different things like that with the decor to make it really ornate and extravagant. So you're looking at like tones of like oranges, greens, yellows, sometimes pinks. It's really vibrant colors that they want to just showcase. So the outfits are all these colors. They're really beautiful. You'll see the girls and like the dresses where they kind of flare out, and like when they're spinning they look really pretty because it's like so much rich detail and like gold colors, the mirrors and that kind of stuff to really make it just like really extravagant. The guys are usually wearing very traditional clothing, so it's shalwar kameez, or they're just, you know, more on the traditional side. They're not wearing like suits or anything like that. They're just trying to like give homage to like the culture and that type of vibe. So the next ceremony would be the Nikah ceremony. This is the religious ceremony that basically makes the couple husband and wife. There's so much religious significance here, and it's basically a really It can be emotional, it can be like just really intimate, or it can be a grand event for everyone to watch. They can invite the community. Usually it's either held in the mosque or the masjid, or it's going to be at home or in a smaller venue, or if they want to make it into an event, they will usually do it in the Baraat slash Shaadi ceremony, which is like a grand event in a venue or a hall or a hotel. Usually the Nikah ceremony consists of basically the imam, which is like the priest essentially marrying them, and it's like some contractual stuff they got to do. So basically they have to come up with the dowry amount, which is the amount of money that he has to pay the bride to basically take her away. And they negotiate, not really negotiate, but they come up with this amount. It's disclosed. The bride's side, her father or like some male representative will pretty much get her permission to marry her, and then from there they're just signing documents, and that's what marries them once the imam gives the speech, and then he basically marries them. So this is like a 20 to 25 minute ceremony depending on how long the imam talks. From there, after the ceremony's done, it's lots of hugging, lots of really great moments, sometimes some tears. It can be a very spiritual thing. And then the couple comes together, sees each other for the first time, which is a really great moment. From there, they will take family photos, and then they usually end with some couple photos to take pictures after the whole thing is said and done. So next we're going to get into the Shaadi ceremony. This is also called the Baraat. So it's basically the groom taking the bride away. And this is really nice because it's more of like a formal event. The groom will come in either on a nice car or like a horse, and like basically his friends and family kind of support him and build up his entrance, get him hyped up. Sometimes they'll dance before. This happens outside of the venue, so they are basically like coming in to take the bride. This event is actually hosted by the bride's side, so it's the bride's parents' event for like their friends and family, and they're hosting the groom's side to come in. The bride side is usually waiting, her parents, her siblings, that kind of stuff, and they're going to put these floral necklaces around the parents as well as the family members, sometimes bracelets, some fun stuff like that to welcome them in. From there, the groom proceeds to the stage. He'll sit down. He'll maybe take some pictures with some guests while he waits for the bride's entrance. This is like a really grand moment, so sometimes they like to space this out a little bit. Usually they wait until after the prayer is done, and then once the prayer is done, the entrances will start. They like to do a lot of family entrances, so they'll like announce the brothers of the bride, the sisters, whoever it is, and then the parents will walk with the bride, walk her down the aisle, bring her to the groom, and basically send her off that way. So they're doing all of that. They come on stage. From that point, once they're on stage, they usually are just pretty much set there for a couple hours. They do speeches, so someone usually welcomes the guests, does like a nice speech, and then friends and family will talk about the bride and groom, which is really nice. And then they'll go into like a more of a program, which consists of like if they're doing a cake cutting or if they're doing a first dance. All these things can kind of range on what people do because it depends on how conservative they are, or if they are more free-spirited, they usually don't care. They will dance in front of everyone. So at the Shaadi and Barath, they usually like to do a fun little ceremony called the Juta Chapai. Either they'll do this at the Barath or they'll do this at the Mehndi. But at some point, because the groom is taking the bride away, the bride's family is not happy about it, and they want to kind of weirdly get revenge or like play a fun game. So what they do is they send someone, usually like a little kid or something, or one of the family members, to come to the groom and steal his shoes. At this point, once they do that, they're kind of like fighting with each other back and forth, like playfully, and they'll start negotiating on money, because basically their side is saying, you're taking our girl away, you need to pay up. And sometimes they can make anywhere from $500 to $10,000 to whatever it is. They'll kind of negotiate on some terms, and it's a fun, playful event, but it can last kind of long. It can be anywhere from like 10 minutes up towards like an hour or so. So if they're going in deep, they'll kind of go back and forth and negotiate. But then At some point he has to pay up. He gives the final amount, and the deal is done. He can take his bride away, because basically the whole thing is like, you can't leave here without shoes, so you need your shoes, so you need to pay up. So one last ceremony that they usually like to do is the dud palai. So usually what happens here is like they decorate these really ornate cups, and they fill it with like milk or some kind of milk drink or milk tea type of thing. And they'll bring it up to the bride and groom and have them drink. Either they're drinking out of one, or with like two straws, or they're drinking out of their own. And it's just kind of a nice custom that they like to do, because it's like in tradition what they've done. So usually they're either playing games, or sometimes they even do another tradition where they put a mirror in between them on their laps, and then they'll put like the veil over them, and then they have to like look at themselves and see themselves as a married couple. So it's a really special moment for the couple and their families. The biggest point of this night is family photos and friends photos. So basically there's a designated amount of time during dinner or after dinner where like the family members and friends line up on the side of the stage, and it's like a step and repeat. So like they'll come on stage, they'll welcome them, they'll congratulate them, hug them, and then they'll step off stage after they've taken their picture. And it just kind of happens again and again until everyone is captured. This is pretty much customary at every wedding. So you'll notice this at most every South Asian wedding, because in history this is just what they do. They get this really big elaborate stage, they come on stage, they get that photo, and then they leave. Once they've also ate the food, they come for the picture, come for the food. Once that kind of wraps things up, if they're not doing an open dance floor again, then it is the bridal exit time, which is also called the rukhsati. So this is a really significant moment for the bride, because she's leaving her family, and because of this it can have a lot of emotions. You can have a lot of tears. The groom is taking the bride away from her family, and so this can be really emotional for everyone. They start the procession at the stage, where they'll stand up, they'll play like somewhat of a sad farewell song. Usually someone from the bride side will hold the Quran, which is the holy book, over her head and walk them out, with the family members on the sides, usually the parents. And once they get to where they're about to exit, either like if they're going to the car, if they're just going to the lobby or whatever, they will stop at a certain point, hug each other, and that's where those real moments of like crying and emotions really come through, because it's a really just significant moment for the entire family. And it's really nice, you know, that everyone is kind of there for the bride. And then basically the bride goes with the groom into the car, and they go off into their life. So that's kind of the wrap with that. All right, the last and final event of a Pakistani wedding is the Walima reception. So this is really more from the groom's side. Basically, the couple has consummated their marriage, and they need to now celebrate with friends and family and make it known that they are the couple. So usually what they like to do is get ready again, new outfits. It's more of a formal affair. So they're wearing like more formal American type clothes for the men. So they're wearing suits or tuxes, just really looking sharp like that. Not so much of the traditional desi clothes like they would do for the Shaadi and the Mehndi events. For this, the bride is usually more like, it's more of like a sophisticated and like not as crazy elaborate, but still just beautiful and glam look. They'll wear like either a long gown or like a lenga or something, just really ornate and beautiful. The tones, usually most people like to go with like light colors, like light pink, light blue, champagne, something more on like the lighter side, because it's more of a reception. And especially because a lot of people are doing more American type of receptions. So this is just a really great event to wear something nice and like more formal, to where, you know, it's just a beautiful affair. You're going to have a good time. What happens at the Walima event is the grand entrance. So basically the couple is coming in together, and they're wanting everyone to see this grand entrance of them as official married couple. So sometimes they'll do family entrances where the parents and family members come in, and then the grand one is the couple coming in and sitting on the stage. And again, the same process. So it'll be the step and repeat of the family members, the friends coming up on stage, taking their photo, congratulating them, and leaving. So again and again until that is done. And then other things that they can do is cake cutting first dance, so similar to the Shaadi event. Speeches and that kind of stuff, more geared towards the groom side. You'll notice that on the Shaadi day, it is geared more towards the bride side because that's her event. And then on the Walima day, it's more towards the groom side. So it's maybe his friends talking or his family. And it's just like each side gets their time to talk about their person. So which is really cool. Like a nice exit ceremony, more on a higher note. So they'll do sparklers or bubbles or something more fun, just because the Rukhsati was more of a serious event. So that way they have a great way to end their wedding festivities on a high note.